Hi, so welcome to Macbeth Lesson 23. It's been a little while since I last posted, but I did promise that I'd get all our work on from earlier in the year. So as it's nearly the summer holidays, I thought I'd stop making some videos again and making them available for you guys. So if you are looking to revise over the summer, you have the full suite of videos available to you. So let's get started. Right, so as usual, a bit of an introduction first. We're going to recap the events of the play up to this point. We're going to read Act 3, Scene 5, we're going to watch the performance of the scene, and then obviously there'll be some revision notes at the end for you to work with. So I shall recommend you pause the video here to give you some time to read through the story so far in Act 3. There's 4 scenes that have gone on before the one we're going to look at today in this video. So if you just pause the video here, give yourself some time to read through there, and then when you're ready, unpause and I'll see you on the next slide. Right, so before you read the scene, just some background information that you need to know. Act 3, Scene 5 is a controversial one, as many people believe it was added after Shakespeare died. And if this is true, it indicates just how much the Jacobean audience enjoyed this supernatural theme. You know, adding more witches scenes to the play would suggest that, yeah, the audience must have really enjoyed the witches scenes that Shakespeare had started with. Hecate, or Hecate, depending on how you want to pronounce it, is the goddess or the queen of witchcraft. Okay, so she has a very powerful role, and she's more powerful than the other 3 witches in the story. In her monologue, which remember is a solo speech, she is upset that the 3 witches who we've met earlier in the play have been playing with Macbeth without her involvement. So it turns out the witches, the ones that we've met already, have been kind of messing around with Macbeth without the authority or the permission of their goddess. And this scene is where Hecate steps in and says, "Look, enough is enough. You've messed around too much. We need to fix the problems that you've created, and the kind of the mess that Macbeth has started and caused in Scotland because of you 3 messing around." She gives the witches 1 night to get everything ready. They're going to do like a massive spell, and they've got 1 night to get everything ready. She plans to punish Macbeth for being violent, so because Macbeth is the way he's been, and killing people and being generally unpleasant, Hecate wants to punish him for that, to teach him a lesson. And the way she's going to do that is using her magic power to create illusions that are going to trick him. Emerging now are some images of Hecate that I've found on the internet. One is from a stage production, and the other one is a kind of illustration. And you can see the aura on this first image, on the second image, with the kind of the glowing power that's coming from her. And then in the kind of the stage one, we can see the real sense of presence that she has, and the power and the authority that she seems to convey. It reminds me very much of a kind of a dark magic version of Titania from Midsummer Night's Dream. So here's the scene. Okay, so let's get into it now. First of all, the scene starts with thunder. Yet again, the weather seems to be affected by the witches. The witches seem to have this ability to alter nature in a negative way, and so thunder suggests that anger, frustration, violence. There's a real sense of malevolence and kind of negativity in the air. First witch: "Why, how now, Hecate? You look angrily." Hecate: "Have I not reason, beldams as you are? Saucy and overbold, how did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death? And I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part or show the glory of our art." So she starts off by kind of criticising the witches, calling them, basically saying that they're out of order in doing what they've done, and that she should have been involved as her role as the goddess. She should have been involved in planning and executing the magic on Macbeth. Let's carry on at line 10. "And which is worse? All you have done hath been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. But make amends now, get you gone, and at the pit of Acheron we'll meet in the morning. Thither he will come to know his destiny. Your vessels and your spells provide, your charms and everything beside. I am for the air, this night I'll spend, until a dismal and fatal end. Great business must be wrought ere noon, upon the corner of the moon. That hangs a vaporous drop profound, I'll catch it ere it comes to ground, and that distilled by magic's lights shall raise such artificial sprites as by the strength of their illusion shall draw him on to his confusion. So Hecate, first of all, in this kind of second section in line 10, is critical of their kind of choice of victim. You know, what has been the point of their meddling with Macbeth? He's not worthy of their kind of influence. All he's done is become spiteful and wrathful, and he's just selfish. You know, he's not doing anything for you. What's the point in you helping him out and making him king? So she then says, let's get this sorted. Make amends now. We're going to fix this now. You go away. I'll meet you at the pits of Acheron in the morning. Okay? There, Macbeth is going to come to know his destiny. He's going to turn up as well. And your spells and your magic vessels, all your charms and everything that you have, you're going to bring with you. Okay? So you're going to basically bring all your magical equipment and power with you. She then goes on to say that what her plan is, for the heir, she's got to get a special ingredient. She's going to spend the night on a very, very difficult job, a great business she calls it, and effectively what she's trying to do is catch a drop of vapor, a vaporous drop that sits upon the corner of the moon, and she needs to catch it before it hits the ground. Once she's got that kind of magical drop of vapor, she will be able to use it, using her magic, to raise artificial sprites, and the strength of their illusion shall affect Macbeth. They're going to hit Macbeth and draw him to his confusion. So they're going to really mess with his head, and that's the plan. Okay, in her speech so far. Let's keep going. He shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes both wisdom, grace, and fear. And you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. And this is a really kind of interesting philosophy that Hecate brings in here. She's saying that Macbeth shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes above wisdom, grace, and fear. She's talking here about the idea of being overconfident. She's going to make him feel that he is invincible, that nothing can hurt him, and he's got nothing to fear. So he's going to just become reckless. Okay? He's not going to use his wisdom. He's not going to use his kind of experience. They're going to trick him into thinking that he doesn't need experience or wisdom. He can just do what he wants because he's invincible. And as she says in the final part here, just before the music starts to play, she says, and you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. And what she's saying there is that sense of when you feel that you're secure, when you feel you can't be defeated, that's when you make your mistakes. So it's all about overconfidence, making him think he's invincible, and that's what's going to destroy him. Next bit. Hark, I am called, my little spirit sea sits in a foggy cloud and stays for me. Yet again we get a sense of the unseen supernatural power of the witches. Right back at the beginning we had the witches talking to their spirits, Grey Malkin and Paddock, and here we've got Hecate being communicated by an invisible spirit that sits in the clouds above. Off goes Hecate, and the first witch, who speaks for all three of them really, clearly shocked, a little bit scared and intimidated by what they've heard. She says, "Come, let's make haste. She'll soon be back again." So the sense that they've got a bit of pressure on them now to do as they've been told and to follow instructions. Otherwise, they might be the ones who face the consequences and the wrath of Hecate in the future. So, as always, it's always useful to try and watch the play. Difficult in current circumstances, so I found this video performance of this scene, a very kind of intense performance, a solo performance of Hecate's speech. Hopefully you appreciate the quality and the way in which the actress delivers these lines.
Have I not reason, beldams as you are, saucy and overbold? How did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death? And I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part or show the glory of our art. And, which is worse, all you have done has been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. But make amends now, get you gone, and at the pit of Acheron meet me i' the morning. Thither he will come to know his destiny. Your vessels and your spells provide your charms and everything beside. I am for the air. This night I'll spend unto a dismal and a fatal end. Great business must be wrought ere noon. Upon the corner of the moon there hangs a vaporous drop profound. I'll catch it ere it come to ground, and that, distilled by magic sleights, shall raise such artificial sprites as by the strength of their illusion shall draw him on to his confusion. He shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes 'bove wisdom, grace, and fear. And you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. Hark! I am called. My little spirit, see, sits in a foggy cloud and stays for me.
So hopefully after seeing the performance there, it's made the scene a bit more vivid and a bit easier for you to kind of visualize it, what it might be like on stage. Obviously in that production, that scene, we couldn't see the other witches and how they would be reacting to Hecate, but you can imagine that the anger that she's expressing there would make the other witches quite scared and intimidated. So final bit of notes here. The scene is believed to have been added sometime after Shakespeare's death, so make sure that if you do get this, or if you do talk about the context of the play and you want to talk about the witches, you could bring in the idea that extra witchy scenes were added to really show the way it was meant to attract more audience or more people to come watch the play. Make sure that you know that Hecate is the goddess of witchcraft and that she is like the witch's boss, and that she is angry with what they've done. Okay, so there's a sense of the witches are in trouble here. Third bullet point, Macbeth, in her opinion, needs to be punished for what he's done. So the next sequence of the play, from the next moment we see Macbeth with the witches, it's about tricking him and messing up his head so that basically he self-destructs, and that's what the plan is. And obviously it needs to be done very quickly, so everything is going to be quite rushed because Macbeth is going to meet the witches the following day, and we'll look at that scene next. See you for now.